Ascendental. It sounds like you wanna you eat ass. You're what is that? Ascendental philosophy. This is what I want to talk about here, and I know it's getting dark. Um, I want to talk about this island I've been thinking about for a while called Japan, and I got into Japan when I was a teenager. I was looking at Sweden a lot because of their healthcare system. They had socialized medicine, healthcare. I felt like moving there, or Denmark, become a Great Dane. The my first early internet friends were some Danes and Belgians. They were always really nice people. And I pirated Rosetta Stone. The statute of limitations is up for that if you want to bust me. But I tried to study Swedish, and then I got into Japanese in Japan because they seemed like they had um, socialized medicine, a healthcare system that wasn't this well one that we have currently here. And I had this plan laid out. I graduated early from high school, and I used the extra time to study Japanese. And I was going to get my associate degree and become an associate of whatever, and join the Peace Corps because that is a minimum requirement for the Peace Corps. And then I would go to Japan. And then I found out that even free tuition and working 40 hours a week is not enough to pay subsidized rent, subsidized paying any rent at all didn't make any sense to me ever. Yeesh. Sorry, but I got I got into Japan and I wanted to go there, and the closest I got was Los Angeles. And eventually, on my victory lap there, I was just going every day to Japantown, sitting in the library. And my goal really has always been to be able to explain what postmodernism is. Basically, write an essay, and I always wanted to get to JLPT2 level. I have this big hang up. I have to get to JLPT2, and I have to be able to explain postmodernism. Um, but see, now that I'm not being subjecting myself to a bombardment of constant images, um, I guess somewhat, um, if of Japanese um, netizen culture, and I'm not part of the, that thing. I was just trying to break down what is America's fascination with Japan, um, and sort of just distancing myself from it, because I'll get classed as an Orientalist, and I've tried many times, and I think at one point I even understood what it meant to be called an Orientalist, but the more I rack my brain for an answer, I just can't think of why that is a bad thing. And people's understanding of culture is very shallow, narrow, and it doesn't account for the breakdown of the nation state model in the internet information age of present 21st century now. Since I can tune in right now to all sorts of Japan and have my entire input walk. I could walk into a recreated Japanese street and talk to Japanese people right now. Um, where I was tasked by a Swami who has millions of views. When I asked him, basically, like, what does the world need now for healing, whatever, he told me that I need to blend East and West. So, in that task, I felt like I had learned enough from the Eastern philosophy, and so I went into a study of Western esotericism. And where that leads back on the surface level is right back to the East, their conclusion. What is Occidental philosophy might have to be its own video, because I'm kind of on the Japan riff. Um, I do want to acknowledge this is something that I just realized recently, like personally realized, is that probably like 90% of Japanese people, and it just, you know, I'm just thinking back to like a long time ago and how it must have been. Like, uh, like it was probably so filled and probably is still so filled with like every Japanese man to a large, and I'm saying this to someone who, I recognize somewhat that Japan is a Japanese has a very conformist society. Everybody says that. I've never been there, so I don't know. Um, and well, what I see is through media and the arts. So I have a tendency towards like the weirdos who break away from a very conformist society, and I don't get to see the very conformist society part of it, right? So I'm into like Susumu Hirasawa and Jun Tagawa, and I would love to see Susumu Hirasawa live once. It would be so cool. Um, the P Model, one of my favorite bands. They paid me 50 cents for that knowledge. Um, they stopped mining my data. This is probably every I'm just saying probably every Japanese guy is what we don't what we don't like consciously recognize here is that probably every Japanese guy is like if you were to translate it, it would just translate as the old asshole mechanic who has a stick up his ass and it and is like just very macho type and fixed and rigid and he's just I'm trying to think of a good example like like they're probably all rednecks dude is what um like if you think of what it was like in a daimyo's being a daimyo's vassal in the 16th century, they're probably all fucking assholes, dude. Sorry. Um, no, I mean they're probably all extremely macho, and they're all watching over each other like, "Fuck you doing that for? Fuck you doing that for, dude? You got to do it like this. The fuck you doing that for?" They're all drinking Mountain Dew. Believe me, and I'm trying to bridge the culture, but it was like that everywhere, and only now is that breaking up, and we're kind of questioning like, you can't be that guy anymore, dude. You got to soften up. Um, but and probably I've I've seen this in chats. They don't think an American sayer, and they'll just be saying like, "Japan's the best, dude. Japan, Japan's fucking best country in the world." I don't like America. I don't like it. Japan's Japan, Japan Ichiban, Japan number one. They are saying that in the secret discords. They they it is a. I'm just sort of acknowledging that I'm aware that it's an ultra nationalist ethno state, and I'm not worshiping it. I just value the good parts, uh, especially the language. Been trying to learn it. Like I said, as soon as I found out that they have healthcare and it would be cool to go over there. Um, and I'm just trying to poke at different parts to see, and to test my own knowledge, how I've evolved. I'm not just like a fan character. I was never into so much the collecting figures and anime otaku. I'll be a otaku about other things. They're probably if I had any access to any spending money outside of feeding myself, it probably would have gone to that in my early 20s. So it's probably a good thing. Anyway, um, so what have we got here? We've got the Occidental and the Oriental. And the Oriental ends in this island of Japan. It's this crescent shaped island. I just got back from there. Main island's called Honshu, and fucking everybody there was asleep. I get over there, and everybody on the main island is going Honshu, 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 Honshu. On this island in Japan, they've got the basically the crown jewel of Oriental philosophy. It ends in Zen because Zen just cuts out all the crap. And also, what I've been thinking of lately is that it's something that we have to acknowledge it here in the West is desperately, and this is kind of the main point. And sorry to get about it in a roundabout way, but and in the you need night vision to scope me out. Um, the fact that the Japanese went from a feudal society to an industrial society without the intermediary portion like we took in the West of having a bourgeois class aristocrat society where everything is based around your home address, sir, and what nice shoes you are wearing. We'll get to the conversation in 400 fucking hours and a bunch of paperwork later because you, sir, don't have access to all the things which make you a bourgeois citizen. So get the fuck out of here. Um, uh, they they went they skipped that period, and we get to see that now that it's the 21st century and it is right now. Isn't that amazing? So I'd like to point that out to you. Um, so there's Oriental philosophy, and I don't want to spoil it, but it's what I have to talk about, I guess. Um, Listen, they told me I didn't have any compassion, so take this as my act of compassion, you jerk. Um, the the essence of Oriental philosophy, my thoughts in the dark here, um, are that it's basically the wisdom is that you, my friend, were once a little spermatozoa, and you could have been anything, but you now you've evolved. Right now, you were that same little thing, and it goes way back. Believe me. Um, but now, what you've got, fella, is a brain. So you were a sperm, and now you have a brain. Does that check out? That is basically Oriental philosophy in a nutshell. Um, Pointing out to you that right now you have access to a brain. That's what all these, like, we make up so much hype about Kundalini charts and these nadis and stuff. And it was like, that was their model back then of the fact that you have a brain. They were just figuring that out, dude. So it's not this big mystical secret. Uh, yeah, they wrote they wrote down that you have a brain, and what does a brain do, and all that stuff. And it was the first time we had figured out that you could make a chart of your own mind, and then wipe that chart clean by reflecting on the fact that you even have a brain. So, and that's pitted up against the Western philosophy, which I don't really claim to know too much about. I was so interested in figuring out the sperm brain thing that still got my Shakti all. I have so much power, I'm just jumping out of my seat. Um, the general depiction, I'll just stick with that, of Western philosophy, where that ends up really is, I guess it's all rational thought, right? And then what is the extent of rational thought? Yahoo. And then we don't acknowledge the fact that that breaks down, and then that's too scary. No, is that all Western philosophy? Thought. I don't know. There's like where it seems to be heading. If we pit it up again, like the rising sun versus the setting sun, and we're over here in the west, and we look over Silicon Valley, and it's the setting sun, same Earth, different perspective. What is our perspective? Um, it seems to be total darkness, right? That's what you're looking at right now. I have you in my dark spell. Um, it seems like the end of, well, I've been trying to say this. Um, Western philosophy, it ends up running off a cliff, is really what I want to say, and it's like power for power's sake. The ego rules all. The uh, whatever my immediate um, desires are, just act those out, and just basically the total opposite. Um, I think as Americans, see, we don't have American history that goes back to the like how Japanese can look back to the 16th century and it's still the same country and the same people basically. Um, they can look back to the 16th century and whereas we in feudalism, whereas we our brain shuts off as Americans when we go back to pre-American history, and it all takes place in Europe, and then before that, Africa. No joke. Um, we never think of European history as our own history, but we're the same people that crossed the Atlantic in less time. You know, they we were, then they had the Industrial Revolution. Man, it's so crazy that it's now. Um, I mean, it's only so far into now, but definitely Silicon Valley's gone off the rails. Seems a little. You guys, if you're listening, um, I mean, Silicon Valley is the Western Shore, the same way Portugal was the Western Shore, where all the elites they didn't have anywhere to go. Across the void was the Pacific Ocean. More of the Pacific Ocean and monsters. Now we're up against the Western Shore of America, where all the power was concentrated. It's mostly concentrated in the country now. Um, and we're marketed a lot to go be Japan consumers, consume a lot of Japanese media and become Japanese because that's where to go across the Pacific Ocean is back there. And I guess they're trying to say that power goes in cycles around the globe. But what I'm trying to point out to you is neither East nor West, neither Occidental nor Oriental, but up, ascendental, ascendental philosophy. It's something new, and it is neither the direction north, east, south, or west. Not on the planet, dude. Let us see. We already figured out that national scale cohesion in order to achieve space flight. So it's not across the Pacific Ocean back to Japan, not back east. I figured this out. An advanced AI reconstructed my life and made a facsimile of me saying that. So it wasn't really me, but that is I have just shared Ascendental philosophy with you. That's kind of what I've been thinking about.